Why is this so incredibly loud? Genshin Impact has a ton of characters with very interesting occupations. We've got a deep sea diver, a seamstress, Uber Eats, even Gordon Ramsay. Now, a deacon of the church is not a crazy thing to think about, but it is when you learn that they're an alcoholic, purposely seeks out trouble, and also gives people surprise baptisms. It's no wonder why he gets along with Fenty so well. Dahlia really travels out of Mondstadt, but desires to embroil himself in other nations' issues, so we have quite the opportunity for him right now. How will he fare against what Teyvat has to offer? Can we beat Genshin Impact with only Dahlia? Here are the rules. I can only use Dahlia. All weapons and banners are allowed, no food in combat, no co-op, and no bug abusing. So let's just get straight into it. We start off by pulling... not you. We start off by pulling this cutie patootie and make our way over to Amber's domain. We use Dahlia's skill to boost us up, and so we complete the domain in only a couple of minutes. By the way, if you've noticed, the video quality kinda sucks right now because I actually forgot to record the first part of the challenge as I was streaming it on YouTube, and YouTube only lets you download in 360p, so yeah, sorry about that. But good news is it's back to normal in Mondstadt Act 3, so you only have to see this pixelated troublemaker for about a couple minutes more. Kai's domain is easy enough not to use our skill here, and Lisa's domain took a few tries, but we got there in the end. So right now, it's a bit of farming until AR10. Oh, no, oh! Didn't mean to do that.
Thanks, Animo Archon.
Thanks, Animo Archon. Whoa. And now we can start Act 2. First up is the Eye of the Storm, and as you can see, we're not really doing a lot of damage yet. It manages to pull off the Storm move, I don't know what it's called, but we cheated out by standing on this pillar here. I've still got her and Emily to go as well, so please be something good. That's not bad! Next up was Zamenhof, and our shield did help a bit here, but I reckon we could have beaten him without it anyways. Trampoline. Okay, I want all of you to guess just how much damage we're going to do to this Ruin Guard here. Yeah, as soon as I saw 11, I knew this was going to be a rough challenge. We were only an hour and a half in, and already taking ages to clean up these fights. No, you cannot baptize a robot, Dahlia, that's not how it works. The Pyromage, however, dipped their whole body in too deep, so Act 2 was now complete. By the way, we can actually jump on these platforms in Amber's story quest as well. Welcome back to high quality gaming. First is the Hydromage, which sucks because we can only normal attack it to death, but I realized there were cryo flowers here, so we just let it freeze itself. Shield Metacheros are annoying, but we can just burn through their shields by allowing ourselves to get hit by this Pyro Slime, and because we can vaporize with Hydro, we did hit a damage high here of 1957, but now it's onto Storm Terror, and our skill works really weird here. It doesn't detect the spike on Dvalin's head as an enemy, so we actually have to self-trigger it by walking onto it. Honestly, this is actually really great because it allows us to plunge attack for extra damage, and there's not even any downtime because the skill goes on cooldown as soon as it's placed. Dvalin goes down in 2 phases, which means all we have to do now is watch our best bud get booted, and complete Mondstadt with a time of 3 hours, 18 minutes, and 30 seconds. Not too bad at all, considering our damage output is almost negative. We're sitting at 6th out of 12th place on the leaderboard, being only 1 minute and 21 seconds slower than Nefer, and just over 5 minutes faster than Skirk. Being right in the middle is never really a good thing because it's tough to say whether or not we'll keep this ranking, but only time will tell. So why don't we analyze it a bit further and see the goods hiding behind that cheeky face of his. Dahlia is a Hydro Sword character and is surprisingly basic for a newer character. His normal attacks are whatever, so the rest of his kit is where it's at. His skill is probably the most well-known part of his kit because, well, surprise baptism! If you tap it while an enemy is nearby, it places it right beneath them and then launches them up if they're able to be launched. Otherwise, it just has a chance of staggering them. You can also hold the skill to choose where to place it, so if there's multiple enemies around, you can decide which ones you want to launch. You can also set it as a trap, which lasts for about 10ish seconds. As soon as an enemy walks over it, it will explode. The other way is to use it on yourself. If Dahlia places his skill nearby and then stands on it for a couple of seconds, it will launch him up into the air. Now this is good for 2 things, if you want to climb a hill or if you want to plunge attack. The plunge is good for breaking shields and also just doing more damage in general. However, if you place it somewhere and an enemy touches it before the launch animation goes off, it will just simply explode and not launch you into the air. There's a very slight area just outside of the skill that will still hit an enemy if you launch yourself, so you can kind of play around with this a bit, but a lot of the time it's more chance than anything. You just have to hope that the enemies stay nearby. It has a 9-second cooldown, so it's pretty short, but it still does a decent bit of damage to enemies. Dahlia's burst, on the other hand, is kind of bad. He does AoE hydro damage and then summons a shield that's really weak, like anything stronger than like a Helicho can just break through it. The only good thing about it is that the shield recharges, so it technically gives you up to 5 shields, but it's still really bad. I wouldn't even compare it to another shield character. It honestly feels a lot more similar to Xingqiu's damage reduction on a skill, even though fundamentally they're way different. You basically start out with 1 shield, and then after every 4 attacks, Dahlia gets a stack, which will turn into a new shield if the old one breaks. You can get a maximum of 5 shields, including the initial one, but there's an overall cooldown of 12 seconds, so if all 5 shields don't get put out, they all just disappear. No Dahlia, that surprise baptism isn't going to save you this time. To be fair, it's nice that he gets a bit of durability, but it doesn't really feel that great, especially because his shield scales off of HP, whereas everything else in his kit, including the damage from his burst, scales off of attack. We're just going to be building attack on him for extra damage because, let's be real, an extra 2000-ish health right now is going to give him an extra 70 health per shield. Like, it's basically negligible. His Ascension stat is HP anyway, so it's not as if we're that squishy. Now, since we're level 40, we've unlocked our first Ascension passive, which only works when we trigger Frozen on an enemy. Very cool. I don't know about you, but I have a very slight feeling we're not going to trigger this very often. Also, he moves 10% faster during the day, which means we should be changing the time to 6 AM as soon as it turns night if we want to maximize this, but yeah, I kind of forgot about it, so let's just move on to Liyue Act 1. First up was the Millelith, and because of our decreased cooldowns, these guys were literally in a bouncy castle. Cloud Retainer's domain took way longer than usual this time because I kept on screwing up our skill. I guess this guy can't surprise baptism himself. Next up was Mountain Shaper, but the slime just wouldn't leave me alone. And last was the Ruin Hunter that could somehow still get hit by our skill even though it's floating. Actually, talking about Dahlia's skill hitbox real quick, you can actually trigger it if an enemy is slightly above it or if Dahlia is below it. I don't know how it works, but I'm pretty sure his model here is way below the skill, so yeah. I don't even know if it's intended or not, but I'm guessing it is. Yeah, but there we go, Act 1 done. Act 2 starts off with the pot, and Dahlia obviously cannot heat it up. How the hell does he have an endless supply of popcorn then? What secrets are you hiding in that popcorn bucket, Dahlia? Whatever he has, it can't be as marvelous as what Madame Ping's got going on in here. To be honest, the only bad part about this place is the cryo slimes because we can't break their shields fast, but there are these pyro flowers just lying around to help us out. Last up were the treasure hoarders, but these guys can just get bounced, so that's the end of Act 2. But there is a bit to go before we hit Act 3. We've got to get past the level 25 barrier. So it's the perfect time to talk about Dahlia's Ascension materials. Dahlia's boss is this, and I cannot be bothered saying his whole name, so I'm just calling it Greg. Greg is located in Natlan, so there's a bit of traveling required to get there. We need to travel to the initial Atokpan waypoint, and then spend about 6 minutes making our way over to the other side of it, just to hop into a Kohala Saw to reach the waypoint right next to Greg. It's quite a trip, but let's talk about the boss itself. Yeah, this is about 50% of the fight. Greg requires constant cryo. Greg requires constant cryo application to lower its resistances and slow or even stop the beams of water. But take a look at our main guy right here. Not a single speck of cryo on him at all. It's similar to the Papilla fights with Skirk or Iansan, where we've basically just got to stand to the side and finish doom scrolling. Like there's literally nothing else to do while we wait for it to finish gooning. Almost takes as long as my Uber Eats driver deciding to stop at 3 other people's houses so my food is cold by the time it gets to me. But the rest of the fight is very manageable. If you've seen Escoffier only, you'll already know what it's like, but if not, I'll give you a quick rundown. As long as you stay in melee range, Greg only uses 2 attacks. One is the slashes and another one is the whirlpool. The slashes are really easy to dodge because it hits like halfway across the arena, and the whirlpool doesn't actually do damage to you in the first second, so you can kind of just dash out and at worst only take 1 to 2 instances of pretty small damage. Greg does 3 to 4 moves before it relapses, so you can get a few hits in. Pretty simple fight, just takes a long time to beat. Dahlia has Calla Lilies as his local specialty, and these are just a bit annoying because they're often found by themselves or in groups of 2. They're just all over Mondstadt as well, and there's only about 53 of them, so you're gonna have to do a bit more than 2 rounds of collection just to get Dahlia to 80. Again, pretty simple, but takes a long time. As for our weapon, we're just going to use Prototype Rancor because we get free mats until level 70, and it's a Liyue weapon, so its domain is accessible, unlike whatever is going on in the Land of the Wind. The 4-star sword on the weapon banner is from Mondstadt, and the limited 5-star weapon is Skirk's Azurelight, but if you've watched Skirk only, you'll know just how annoying the materials are to farm, and you'll see later in the run that it's just going to be a big waste of time anyways. Dahlia's constellations aren't too bad, so we're going to pull for them instead of a better weapon. But enough farming, it is time to start Liyue Act 3. Yeah, we can't get this to spin, and our surprise baptism is definitely not reaching the island up there, so we've got our friendly friend to help us out. Did I really just put friendly friend in the script? What the hell am I saying?
There really were Fatui at the location,
Look, I think you've got to change professions at this point, mate. These Warper Flowers are annoying because we can't break their shields, but we can just outwalk their post-shield projectiles. That's gonna be me once I'm done with you, Mr. Tartaglia. Now this fight is rough because Child has cryo resistance on his first and third phases, and we can't really bounce him that easily, so most of our damage here is going to come from our normal attacks. With that being said, we can stagger him quite easily from our charged attacks, and we ourselves have a Hydro Shield, so we can absorb Hydro damage so much better. Even in the third phase against his harder hitting Electro attacks, we're still not taking too much damage. So we do pull through and take him down. I don't even know if you can lose to the ballistas getting destroyed here. Like, I swear I took ages to take down this Hydro Gunner, and like the other times, these guys just decide to clock out. Like, brother, come on, what is with the Fatui these days? They must all be Gen Z. And there we go. Liyue is complete in 9 hours, 43 minutes and 4 seconds. Still in 6th. Nice. 18 minutes behind Skirk and 2 ahead of Farazan. But like always, we are blocking out the leaderboard so that our final time is a surprise. Baptism. But what's an even better surprise is that this guy is in our hometown. Yikes. While we're in the early game, Abyss Mage shields require a few physical hits to break, so it's not that much of a problem just yet. Okay, let's be real though. Anything is better than whatever the heck Columbina went through. Also, unlike Columbina, you can actually outrun this bubble without dashing, so that is a plus. Cryo Mages are also pretty slow to break because Hydro doesn't really react with them well. But I abused the Pyro Archer shots in this fight here to speed things up a bit. It didn't really work out in the next fight though. I tried too hard to push the Cryo Mage into the fire, but I took way too much damage in the process. 764 HP and a dream. Some say dreams do come true because the Cryo Mage kind of fell down here and was out for the rest of the fight, but we did get hit again. 253 HP in a dream. We managed to take down the Ruin Guard mid-spin, and then also knocked out the Pyro Mage, and then had a standoff against the remaining Cryo Mage who managed to make it back somehow. Now this isn't even the most stressful fight of the video, by the way. Hydro Shields suck, and Heralds are no exception. We did have a little strategy change mid-fight though. At first, I was using my skill off cooldown for energy particles to charge up our burst, even though it doesn't do damage to the shield, just so we had a bit of extra survivability. But I realized that plunge attacks do more damage to these types of shields, so instead, I decided to place our launch pad next to the Herald instead of on it, so it wouldn't immediately explode. But because the Herald attacks pretty often, sometimes it triggers the trap early, and that's not cool. So screw you, Abyss Herald. You don't even have a name, okay? That's how much you suck. I'm naming you Androdingus. And with Androdingus out for the count, we finish Act 4 and then farm a bit more. By the way, I did do these runs hitless. I got to boast a bit there. Until AR 30 so that we can start Inazuma. Transport balloon time. Similar to my Columbina run, Dahlia is a Hydro character, so he can't react with all of the natural water everywhere. It just takes a bit longer than usual to clear up these guys. We can drown them though. The overload trick with the Electrogranum still works, so we use that to take down the Pyro guy a bit faster. Next up was the police station, and unfortunately, we're starting to see more and more enemies that can't be surprise baptismed. We can still somewhat stagger them, but a lot of the fights from now on are just going to contain enemies that are like twice our height. And that is Act 1 complete. But before Act 2, I decided to do a few pulls. This is a new 4-star or a 5-star? It's a 5-star. Okay, please.
Hello.
Okay.
I am Yume Mizuki, a clinical psychologist.
If
Okay.
something's troubling you,
I don't get any Dahlias, and then when I do get a 5-star, it's Mizuki. It's not even Skirk. What is going on? I get a 5-star before I get C1 Dahlia. Like, what the hell? Okay, please be Dahlia. This is a 4-star I already have. Yes! Thank you, game. Amazing. Dahlia C1 is pretty nice to have. Basically, every time we get a stack on our burst, we get 2.5 energy refunded, so it just means that we get our burst back faster. It doesn't really do too much, but it does make its gameplay feel a lot nicer. The shield duration is still kinda short, so sometimes we can't even get 4 stacks off, especially when we need to dodge multiple attacks from enemies, but it's still a nice to have anyways. Does anyone know how many popcorn he eats during his one idle phase? We need to count this, hold on. Alright Dahlia, do your idle. Hello? Okay. 1. 2. That's it. Come on, you had a whole bucket there. What the hell? Alright, two popcorn per idol. And then we just gotta like record it over a period of time to see how many popcorn he eats during like an hour. Okay, I actually did decide to calculate this. Dahlia has 2 idle animations. One of them is the infamous popcorn one, and the other one is where he prays after bringing out a book. He chooses between the two or a random voice line, anywhere between 12 to 20 seconds after the last one finishes. The popcorn eating idle is about 13.5 seconds long, and the book is about 15. It's hard to tell when exactly the next popcorn idle is going to happen, but it does average out to about 1 popcorn idle every 60 seconds. Yes, I recorded him eating popcorn over a long period of time and individually counted each one. Every idle, Dahlia eats exactly 2 pieces of popcorn. No more, no less. Which means in one day, Dahlia will eat around 2,880 pieces of popcorn. His sodium intake must be through the roof. No wonder why he drinks so much. So now it is time for Act 2. Regretting it yet, Mr. Mondstadt? Time for archery. Dahlia's skill doesn't really have enough range to reach the target dummy, so we had to restart. But even when we placed the skill beforehand, it doesn't even recognize the target as an enemy, so it doesn't explode. These guys got struck by lightning and somehow didn't even get phased by it. Toughest grunts in history. These guys got perma-stun locked, and basically that's just Act 2 done. So straight into Act 3. Yeah, we can't hit these. Welcome back, Eon-san. Time to redeem yourself after your horrendous run. I made the terrible decision to stand in the electrocharged water here, but the rest of Big Guy went down without a problem. Now we've reached the Delusion Factory, so here's the segment where I share a hot take and you get to decide if I am delusional or not. Now, I love Dahlia. I really do. When he showed up in 5.6, I was just like, yup. Okay, I just think he's really neat. Like his movements and attacks are very mischievous and bouncy. I think he's just a very cute guy. But I actually liked his concept or beta design more than what he's currently wearing. I really dig to the more vampire-like aspects and darker colors, as well as the more pink-colored hair. I liked his beta design just a lot better. But it isn't really just Dahlia. With the Genshin exhibitions showing multiple concept designs for multiple different characters, there are so many beta designs that I actually liked more than what they decided to go with. I think what it came down to is probably the practicality of the design as well as fitting the overall art style of the game. Like just as an example, Nahida's design seems very basic for an Archon compared to whatever they were cooking with in the concept art, but I feel like it fits a lot better in the overall game compared to some of these other designs. I don't know. I low-key felt a little bit baited after Dahlia's live design came out, but still, I quite like it. I think it feels a lot more fitting, especially as a deacon of the church, but I still quite liked the vampire-ness of the old one. I don't know. I wonder if any of you all feel the same or if it's just me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What? Why am I in here? Hello? Hey, Senora, remember what you did to my homie? Yeah, you're getting double that in return. Her cryo phase is very chill. Haha, get it? I've probably made the exact same joke in like 2 or 3 other videos. We finally get a new damage high of 3,256 here, and we hardly take any damage as well. So onto the pyro phase we go. Unfortunately, our own Hydro can't get rid of the burnt flooring, so we've got to play it a bit more strategically here. When she moves into a new location, our basic attacks move us forward, so we continuously get hit by terrain damage, which heats the bar up faster. It also sucks because when we move to the corners to clear the terrain, she does devastating ranged moves that hurt a lot more. We did manage to clear it out and take her down. That's what you get. Don't ever come across my gang ever again. I mean, you kind of just can't anymore, but still. Hey there, A. Maybe that was taking it a bit too far. You didn't have to really, oh, ow, stop it. Okay, your turn then. We did manage to hit a buffed high of 6,108 against her and finish her off with a value that didn't even appear on the screen, saving Inazuma from eternity in 16 hours, 6 minutes, and 11 seconds. What is this? New 4-star. Lanyan.
I'm Lanyan.
Another new 4-star? Or 5-star? Okay. Skirk! Welcome home!
I am Skirk.
No, my fault was a different move, you piece of. Yeah, this fight took like 12 minutes just for me to throw it all at the end. I shouldn't even be taking this much damage in the first place. This fight is literally one of the most easiest Herald fights in existence. What is wrong with me? I must be washed. Literally first timed it with Columbina. Way better. The Electro was just way easier because we can actually react with its shield. Okay, yeah, this day was not my day. I should have absolutely no problems here whatsoever. Screw this Chungus quest. Just before we hit AR35, we went to go farm the Mondstadt talent domain, and this is just not fun because there are 3 big cryo slimes that take a billion hits to break their shields. We can't even plunge half the time because these guys have no concept of personal space. Anyways, we did hit AR35 here without even getting the cool AR increase pop-up, so I don't know. So many things were going wrong this one day, I just couldn't care at this point. We ascended Dahlia to 70, which means we have now unlocked his second passive talent. It basically increases our attack speed while we have his shield up, and this scales off of his HP. Ideally, he needs about 40,000 to gain the maximum bonus of 20% attack speed, but since we're prioritizing his damage rather than health, we're only going to reach about half of that. It's fine though. I'd rather do 200% damage and attack 10% faster than 100% damage and attack 20% faster. It just makes more sense. Bread tastes better than key. Sumeru begins with a fight against the Withering. We go ahead and charge attack the roses, and oh my gosh, we can bounce the bouncers. Just look at how bouncy they look. This is amazing. My life is complete. Thank you devs for not making me have to fight another one of these guys. I love you all so much. Oh wow, chef's kiss. Beautiful. Absolutely astonishing. No, I want to just get this in, man. It's only 25 seconds.
Of course he does that.
Wait, can you pull it? Can you pull it?
I got a shield, I got a shield.
The shield. Yeah, the shield.
Oh, you got it, just. Harrison! No!
What the fuck?
Yes, 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 yes! Why is your haircut like that?
You like it?
T. This is actually the best emote.
Can't well, but
Hello? Hello? What the f is wrong with my game? Stupid European servers. Rift Hounds are kinda bad because their bleed damages through shields and scales off of max HP, so they're not the most fun enemy to fight. But there's only 2 waves of 2 in Act 3, so it's okay for now. Another Candace, are you serious? Act 4 has the Elazar Hospital, so we have to use the Dendrogranum to light up the monuments. We're not the fastest of characters, so we did miss it a couple of times at first, and I realized way too late that Dahlia's passive makes him move faster in the day. Would have definitely been helpful, but I guess I have a smooth brain. The fungi in the tomb are pretty easy. We can knock down the flying ones, and the hydroshrooms hardly do damage through our shield. So moving on to the main event. The order in which we take out the Fatui here is similar to Columbina. Because we're Hydro, we can easily get rid of the Pyrogunner shields, and so we can just leave them alone at first. The Geomancer and Electro Hammer shields don't budge at all, so we're doing double-digit damage against them. But last wave is the Electro Hammer first again because the agent doesn't have a shield, even though it's the more annoying of the two. Time to bring the fight to them. After taking down the Hydrogunner here, we can reset the Electro Hammer just by walking back to where we started. We can basically stagger them for long enough so that their shield can't come up. Same as this one. Also, I swear you could do this skip with other characters because I've 100% done it in the past. But it just didn't spawn the clover for the first couple of tries. It did after I decided to plunge and reset myself, so like, what is this timing? Scaramouche is gonna go Scarakaboosh when he gets surprise baptismed. Or not, because it can't hit him. We have to knock him down and then manually trigger it for it to hit him, which is weird because in the second phase, it triggers without him even touching it. What's even weirder is that he can trigger it, but his turrets can't. I mean, we can't break them anyways because we're Hydro, but I just thought it was funny. Sacrifice the radish. We can actually skip the Rift Hounds near the Boat of Consciousness because our skill lets us jump all the way to the next fight. I think you can skip these guys too, but they're Helichurls, so they don't take long to beat at all. We did hit a new damage high of 6,729 here, and I didn't even see this number at first when I recorded the timestamp because the 4k hit was a crit, so the number was just way bigger. The 6k hit was a non-crit, but it was a Vaporize attack, so it did do more damage even though the number is smaller. But hey, that's the Nation of Wisdom complete in 24 hours, 19 minutes, and 26 seconds. Time to get tipsy! What's up, my fellow alcoholic? Dahlia, that's not how you light a fire. These guys can literally be baptized, so let's go ahead and do so. Similar to Cryo Mages, Cryo Herald shields don't really react with Hydro that well, but at least it does something. Thanks to the arena having an elevated floor, we can plunge attack and break it faster. Cryo shields take increased damage from heavy attacks, so we're plunging whenever we can. We already have a ton of punch capability here, so I decided to use our skill to generate energy instead, so we can burst more for better survivability. Curry Bear complete. But now there is a bit of farming left to reach Fontaine, so it's back to this dumb domain again. We're aiming to get all of our talents to level 6, so that we can actually do something against the upcoming enemies, so unfortunately we're stuck here for the next 40 minutes. And with all of that grinding out of the way, we head to the Ascension domain to ascend to AR40, optimize our artifacts, and make our way over to the Nation of Justice. Now, since we're Hydro, we can in fact make these rare maritime flowers bloom, but our skill only triggers against enemies, so we're actually going to have to self-activate them to apply Hydro. Act 2 has the mix, and we can stagger them quite easily with our skill and charged attacks, so this fight wasn't too bad. But for some reason, we were blocked here by Lepine Pauline. Now I know this has always been a thing, but the devs have been changing the blocking requirements for a bunch of older quests recently. I didn't have this blocker in the last 3 runs that I've done, so in Farazan, in Colombina, and in Beidou. The last time this happened was in Nefer Oni, which was 5 months ago, so I guess they've changed it back. Please devs, revert the Xiangling blocker and I'll do anything. Okay, come on, finally, give me a Dahlia C2. What? We have Charlotte C2, Candace C3, Mizuki, Dia, and Skirk, and we have Dahlia C1. Moving on to Act 5, where we start off with the one and only Torture Chamber. We're targeting the Animo Churl first because we take less damage from the Hydro Churl thanks to our shield, and the Ruin Guard just doesn't take any damage from our physical attacks. We did manage to take down the Animo Churl, but I did take a bit too much damage and had some unfortunate timing when the Ruin Guard decided to spin as soon as I put my shield up, so yeah. No worries, one restart is all we need to take down the rest of them, and they do indeed go down one right after the other. You already know what time it is. Okay, I don't even know if I should include these fights in the runs because story-wise, it's supposed to be that big final fight in Fontaine, but if you die here, you're literally a bot. Okay, yeah, forget about that one. I mean, it's literally like 4 attacks and you're good, so that's kinda it for Fontaine in 32 hours, 9 minutes, and 1 second. I'm actually trolling too many of these fights. Someone come, please, give me a slap on the cheek. Wake me up, I'm getting too sleepy. It is nice that this fight takes place on a hill because we're going to be using plunge attacks while we can make the most of it. I am not jumping off a single piece of terrain in this fight because I have PTSD from Escoffier only. I'm not restarting a single Herald fight ever again if I can avoid it. Okay, I'm awake now. Time to lock in.
This should be fun. Anyone else?
Yep, it's another one of those situations. This is basically Beidou, but worse. Higher cooldown, no parry, and we have to place and trigger it ourselves. If there's an enemy nearby, then it explodes immediately, but that's not always the case. It is only just this one pylon here though, so Act 1 isn't too bad. We didn't actually have too much trouble with the ancient name battle this time around, as we did have decent sustain, and we're also really good against the Pyro Mage, so it went pretty well. This is probably the only fight in this run where I played well, like I dodged every attack here, but it all went downhill in Act 3 with this fight. I hate this fight. Every single time I've gotten here, I don't think I've ever enjoyed it once. The only way to play this is to get the Hydro Gunner low as fast as possible before they put up their shield, because they just heal everyone else. And then you're tickling it for the rest of the fight while getting smacked in the behind. Yes, we managed to knock him down, but no, we did not manage to get the rest. New strategy, Yumkasaur. We can create Bloom Cores while not losing any of our health, but the Electro Hammer just Hyper Bloomed them to Narnia. That didn't work. New strategy, get hit by an Overload attack. New strategy, don't be a f***ing idiot. Oh wow, that one worked, who would have guessed? We did hit a new high here of 8284 against this new group of enemies that spawned in. And the rest of the fight was free. The Pyro Gunner is weak to Hydro. The Animo Boxer is weak. No, they're just weak. And the Geomancer is weak to Dinosaur. Come on, Dahlia C2, please. What the f? Okay, this time the agent has to go first, or he's gonna melt us for 10k per hit. It's a lot easier when their team runs the Pokemon rotation battle format. We defeat the Animo Boxer and then can actually reset the Cryo Gunner by launching ourselves up here and then running out of combat. It's only half of its health bar, but it would have taken twice as long otherwise.
Surprise baptism!
Yeah, you can already tell how this is gonna go. I'm not gonna show every Abyssal Shield here, but we did play it kinda smart in some of the battles. This one has Helichos that throw Pyro Bombs, so we keep them alive to burn the Mimiflora. I should have kept this Dendro Samacho alive to apply burning, but I didn't want to risk losing my own HP here. This fight here was very weird because I alternated battling between two Mimiflora. However, this was probably my best work yet. The Metatroll started up here for some reason, so I couldn't perform my strategy at first, so I went for the bot while I waited for it to go back down. After it went back down, I burned it on the grass that lit up in its Pyro Metatroll phase, died, came back because these fights don't reset, and then I saw that the bot was almost broken thanks to the Tepetli Saw. Now this NPC here that fights the Metatroll doesn't have any elemental attacks, so I can leave them alone and the shield won't break. On the other hand, the Tepetli Saw will break the other shield, and I want to be there when that happens so that I can get the most damage in as possible. So I move back to the bot and take down half of its health before it can regenerate its shield. Now back to the churro, where only just one more surprise baptism breaks the abyssal shield, and again we do half of its health bar here. We do the same trick here with the fire so we can knock it out completely, and by the time this is done, we can go back to finish off the other one whose shield is almost broken again thanks to the dino. So we take it down, and then there is one last pylon here. So we attack both the Pyro Archer as well as the Dendro Samacho, so only these two targets lock onto me. Note that we don't attack the Hydro Samacho here. They both attack me, which means they apply both their elements and trigger the burning reaction, which I can use to break the pylon's shield simply just by standing next to it. And because only the Dendro Samacho is locked onto me, it refreshes the reaction by reapplying Dendro, which means the shield breaks completely without being interrupted by the Hydro Samacho, and this entire fight sequence is now over. I don't know about you, but this was my one big brain play this video. Literally every other idiotic moment earlier in the run was a sacrifice for this one-time amazing use of my subpar Neanderthal IQ. No more Abyssal Shields, please. I don't want to talk about Abyssal Shields anymore, please, just stop. So let me just get out of this screwed up nation with a final time of 40 hours, 47 minutes, and 1 second. We are now officially the new second slowest time, taking the spot from Farazan by being just over 6 minutes slower than her, from 6th to 11th. I'm sorry Dahlia, but this was just not it. I didn't believe that there could be a worse Natlan experience than Beto, but oh boy was I wrong. Surely there couldn't be anything else that could just hit us in the gut after all that we've been through. Okay, let's just get right into the ratings. For combat, Dahlia gets a 3. He feels kinda weak overall. His normal attacks don't do too much, and his skill also isn't the best. He has very low Hydro application as his skill and burst only hit once, and the cooldown on his surprise baptism is 9 seconds. The low application sucks against all types of shields, especially abyssal ones, and as you've just seen in the Natlan section, it was not fun. His skill is great for performing a plunge attack if it's significantly advantageous against an enemy, and the burst gives a bit of survivability even though it's such a terrible shield that doesn't even block one hit at most. He gains additional attack speed as long as his shield is up, but it doesn't really feel like a significant increase in DPS as it scales with HP, and we're building triple attack artifacts on him. His low damage output and application gives him a pretty low score, but he's saved by his utility and sustain, so a 3 seems fitting. For farming, I'm giving him a 4. Dahlia's mats are easy to collect. His boss is multitask material, and his local specialty is all over Mondstadt, which is good because most of the map has already been explored thanks to the story. They are a bit spread out in small bunches, and the total number of them is quite low, but they are regular flowers, so we can just pick them up. The only reason why he doesn't get a 5 is because his talent domain is such a bad counter matchup for him. It's filled with large cryo slimes with shields that take forever to break. Exploration is a tricky one. He has 2 somewhat meh exploration talents. His skill boosts him up a small height, and he gains 10% movement speed during the day. Like, they're just okay. The boost itself is kinda neat, but it's really lackluster compared to a bunch of the other characters in the 4 category with actually decent movement abilities, but he does have 2 of them, and also the characters in 3 low-key have basically nothing, so it was really tough deciding where to put him. In any case, it's either a low 4 or a high 3, and I just felt like I'd be doing him a disservice by giving him a lower score, so a 4 it is. And for enjoyment. Now, I was enjoying this run. Keyword here is was. Natlan was just, yeah, I don't think I have to explain it. Apart from that, I was having a blast. Okay, his kit is not the most exciting or intuitive, but you get to bounce people. And just for that, I think I have to give him at least a 4. We're really surprised baptizing everyone in Teyvat here. Now the key difference between him and a 5 out of 5 is that even though it's the most famous part of his kit, it really didn't feel as integral or satisfying as something like Beidou's parry or Harazan's vortex shot. A lot of the time, it just felt like dealing extra damage. Sure, you can use it differently to play around enemy weaknesses, but very rarely. Oh, and did I mention that Natlan was shit? So Dahlia gets a score of 15 out of 20. I did say at some point that he was looking like a 5 in enjoyment, but I just had to bump it down a little bit just to be fair. It has nothing to do with my poor performance this run, I swear. He's actually not doing too bad considering his slow time, sitting in that big stack of 15 out of 20s, so tied 4th, with like 4 other characters. I do think his final time was about 90% my fault for this run. There were a lot of deaths and unnecessary resets that could have been avoided, and I truly believe he could have got a sub 40-hour run if not for my stupid chungus fingers and stupid chungus brain and stupid I'm just a stupid chungus. There's been a lot of negativity in the last few sections, so let's end it on a positive note. The next solo challenge is going to be interesting as I'm thinking about doing Linnea only. She'll be my first Geo character, and I'm kinda looking forward to seeing how that goes. Otherwise, Emily, Llama, and French Fontaine are still stuck in purgatory. I'm also thinking about doing Nicole, Siegewin, or Linny, depending on what I feel like. Now, I would have done Ridesley if he showed up on Chronicled, but oh well. And with that being said, we are now at the end of the video, so if you did make it all the way, chuck us a like on the video, hit that subscribe button, maybe even hype it up, and I'll see you all again in the next one.